Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm your host, Russ, Regentz with Blue Wave Radio's Roatan Real Estate Roundup, partnering with our friends over here at RE/MAX. And this morning I have with me Melaina Matute. She is the broker and operating partner of RE/MAX here locally. So good morning, Melaina.
Good morning, Russ. Thank you for the
Always
opportunity to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Our pleasure. It's always good to talk with you. All the feedback that we've been getting is I always learn something every time I talk to you. So, and we've been getting a lot of feedback that everybody's really enjoying these videos, and and the information you all are providing is incredibly valuable. So, okay, so let's jump in. So the last couple weeks ago, you and I had talked about financing. People were trying to live their dream, buy their dream home, build it, whatever it is here on the island of Roatan. And financing it was our question. We built that more towards our North American and European investors or people moving here, expats. Now today we're going to talk more about for Honduran citizens. What are some of the options for Honduran citizens to actually going financing? So let's start with that. What are some of the options that Honduran citizens can take advantage of, Melaina, to finance their dreams here?
Okay, so the banks offer different options for different profession actually, so the requirement kind of changed a little bit. So the bank actually offer financing with at least a 10 or 30% down to Honduran that lives and work in the U.S., seaman, individual trader, independent professional as well. And the minimum requirement for salary on these is about $800 to $1,000 monthly to be able to qualify.
Wow, that's really good. I mean, so just hearing you describe the volume of options that are available to Honduran citizens, especially with the down payments, is brilliant. I mean, that really incentivizes people to build and get their own home. I think that's amazing. Quick question. You mentioned mostly banks. Are these mostly all banks that are lending the money? Are there any governmental programs that are available as well by any chance?
Yes, absolutely. There are governmental programs that are available. In Honduras, it's RAP. It's also Banprovi. That's mostly for houses, and the interest rate is a little bit lower than a bank. But in the real estate industry, I have dealt mostly with the bank directly, like financing directly with a bank, not with the governmental program so far.
Gotcha. Well, I know that, for example, in the United States, there are different crediting programs. In the U.S., for example, for our veterans, our military veterans, there are some different programs that are available. So that's why I've always want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to purchase or their dream, to be quite frank with you. Okay. Yeah, well, I think it's amazing. All right, so my next question is, you had referenced that there are different qualifications or different requirements based on industry and job. Is that, I guess, what's the best way to put this? So I'm thinking to myself, okay, different industries, different jobs have different accesses. Okay, great. You mentioned seamen and some of the other folks that are working. How does the rank and file person start this? So in other words, if you're just a guy and a lady trying to build a house, trying to finance your home, where do you start? Do you start with like your boss? Do you start with a company? Do you go to a bank? What's the process to start that for Honduran citizens?
Okay, so in my case with my clients, whenever I get a client, we kind of screen the client, say, are you a cash buyer, or you're looking to financing, or are you planning on financing here in Honduras or in the US? So if they say they're financing here in Honduras, the first step is I send them to the bank. I refer them to someone in the bank, and I say, talk to this person, have them do a pre-qualification for you. So then the bank would have them fill out a form so they can start that process for them. Then they will give them the list of requirements based on their profession.
Awesome. Good. Okay. So it's a very, very similar in that process as in North America. So go to the bank, get everything pre-qualified, get your ducks in a row, and then now we start the shopping for homes process. Is that what you understand?
Yes. I think that's smart, because if you start with looking at the property before getting pre-qualified, then you're not going the right route. So once you get pre-qualified, what you qualify, the amount that you qualify for, then you look at property based on that amount.
what I think one of, I believe it was Todd Haggerty had said a couple weeks ago. He made the comment. He said, "You don't want to come here, fall in love with the house, and realize that you can't afford it."
Exactly. I agree.
And that's a great point. You really want to have everything done in a row, get everything simple to make this as enjoyable as a process as we can.
Right.
Yeah. So interest rates. What's kind of the range of interest rates right now? And obviously, I'm not going to put you on the spot and hold you to it. What's the ranges?
Yeah, it's around 9 to 13% for a mortgage loan. Yeah.
That's not bad. That's a little high,
No,
but it's not bad relative to the United States. But that's not bad at all. Okay. And how long are the terms of those loans? Is it usually 5 years, 10,
they
20?
can be up to 30 years.
Okay. What do you see most of your clients doing? In the middle?
30 years.
30 year
Mostly
range?
30 years, yeah, because that with the monthly payment are lower.
Yep.
Yeah.
Makes good sense. Okay, so when we're talking, 9 to 13%, 30 years notes, very similar, starting with the banks. Is it available, or in other words, like in the United States, you can make banks compete against each other. Is that a wise move to go to, say, Atlantida or Banpais to have them kind of compete against each other?
Yes, you get that somehow where you go on their site and you can see when they have like a discount or a promo for interest rate. Say if you take out your loan at this time, you get this interest rate. And you check with another bank. So that when you check with those other banks, their interest rate is more higher. So it kind of like entice you to move forward with certain bank that is offering that promotion at that time.
Brilliant. I love that. Because I mean, that's one of the things that in my years living here on the island, and definitely I'm sure knowing, with you growing up on the island, there's become a lot more banks that are present here between Occidente and some of the other ones. And I think that's a good thing because they all want to ultimately lend you money. They all want to collect
Right.
those interest payments. So they're not afraid to lend you money. Okay.
That's where the business is for them.
Hey, can't complain. It's got to be for somebody. Everybody's got their business. That's for sure. Okay, so we talked a little bit about interest rates. Let's talk down payments. Now, you mentioned approximately 10 to 30%. What's kind of standard, or is it all over the place depending on
It's actually based on the profession and the status of the person. So if someone is working and living in the US, a Honduran is living and working in the US, they ask them for about 10% down payment. Yes. And what happened there, well, let me kind of talk about the other categories. For seaman, it's about 20%. If a Honduran lives in Cayman Island, it's about 30%. If it's a salary-based person, it's about 20% as well. And also, you have to keep in mind when you're considering doing a bank financing here in Honduras, is that the bank send and appraise the property. So you're kind of thinking, yes, I put down 10%. The bank is going to loan me 90%. So once they do that appraisal, if the property is not appraised at the purchase price that you are buying at, then you actually have to come up with that difference. So for say, if the property is up around 250,000, let's use that number roughly.
Okay.
You put down 10%, which is 25,000. They do the appraisal, and the appraisal come out less than that difference. So then you will have to come up with that difference to make that total and be able to close on the property.
Okay, so if that property is appraised at $200,000, you had 25,000 that you were putting down. You may have to put up more in order to cover that gap.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I just keep hearing, the statement you made a little bit at the very beginning of our talk today. Get all your ducks in a row up front before you start shopping. And just that example, to your point, really hammers home because you want to make sure because now, hey, if I can afford a $250,000 property with 10% down or a $300,000 property at 20% down, those are two different numbers. But if you go through the due diligence and working with a good partner like Remax, you guys will help walk them through really what the range is. I'm assuming what the range is that client can afford, right?
Absolutely. I try my best to inform my clients that are planning to do bank financing here. I educate them as much as possible, and we have a really close relationship with the bank next to our office. And I worked at a bank for about 6 years, so I do have a lot of experience in banking, and I love handling this process. You have to be patient with it because here is not there. It takes time. It really takes time, and patience. So I try to talk to the seller's agent and let them know, look, this is going to take some time. Do you think your seller is willing to wait out this time? And you normally put it in the contingency section in the contract that the purchase is actually contingent upon this person obtaining the loan.
I love hearing that. I mean, and I think that's the way you put that, I think is really pertinent. Take some time, be patient. It doesn't happen overnight, and I think that's a really good message to everybody. I mean, you and I know, you and I hear people talk, you see them daily. I want to come here, buy this, be done, and I've got 1 week to do it all. Yeah,
Right.
that's not going to work. It's just unrealistic. And I think that's smart that talking to several of your agents and of course with you, you all do a really good job of those I would call it pre-shopping conversations and due diligence. You really walk the people through and set expectations. And I think that's one of the reasons that RE/MAX especially really separates yourselves from a lot of your competitors, is that you all will take that time up front, to really make sure you know what you're looking for.
Absolutely. And I when I'm dealing with a bank financing client, I try to be like as patient as possible with them. Like I say, I sit them down and say, let's talk about it. Yeah, like I said, be patient. Do not get frustrated. Oh, I don't want to do this again because it's taking too long. I say, remember what we talk about. I would remind them. So we do get sellers that do not want to deal with it at all.
Yeah.
So like I said, that's why I kind of ask at the beginning. When I'm showing properties, I kind of choose the properties that I already know that the seller will be willing to deal with bank financing as well, to don't waste my time or the client's time.
Well, and that's brilliant. And I just keep coming back. Every conversation we have, I have always told you I learned something new. And I always think it's fun to see how you operate with your bank experience. Like you said, spending 6 years at a bank, you've been down this road, you've seen the inner workings of the things that can take time inside of a bank. And that really gives you a very valuable value add to your clients, because you can have that conversation. And then to your point, as their selective memory kicks in and they don't realize that you told them already, you got to take a breath here. And it allows you to really have a better conversation and, quite frankly, an overall better buying process. Yeah,
Yep.
I think that's important.
I agree, Russ.
Yeah.
So there's a list of requirements. Keep in mind, we're here to help you with that process. I know most of them already, depending on, like I said, the profession. Then I would just say, these are the requirements that you need. Then I put you in contact with the bank manager or the person in charge of the loan, and they will start the process for you.
Brilliant. Well, everyone, Melaina, obviously, thank you again. Been a very, very, very helpful, very data-driven, and a lot of information you're providing to the folks out there. We really appreciate you taking the time this morning. For me, I think it's nice to hear that no matter who you are, where you are, if you're a Honduran citizen living in the Caymans, living here domestically, or live in the U.S., there are options for you. Reach out, find those folks at RE/MAX, begin that dialogue. And make sure you have everything, ducks in a row, so that you are prepared to go and purchase that dream home, whether it's a second home or it's a rental, whatever. But Melaina, thank you so much for really taking time this morning and imparting more of that wisdom to us. It's been very helpful.
You're welcome, Russ.
All right. So I'm Russ Regentz. This has been the Roatan Real Estate Roundup, sponsored by RE/MAX, our partners. And this has been Melaina Matute. She is the broker and the operating manager here. And when you're ready to start that process, please, reach out to Melaina and her team, and they'll take care of you all the way through the process. So
yes, we're here waiting for you.
Love it. Love it. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.